Alright, welcome back. So, right now I'm in an abandoned building because it is yet again very windy out today. Which means it's very hard to film walking around, so I'm just going to be here. But today I thought it would be good to talk about the 13 characteristics of great men, because someone in one of my last videos said something like, who are you to define what a great man is? Because I was talking about Andrew Tate. And I think that's dumb. Because then that means who's supposed to define what a great man is? So, and at the same time, they were insinuating that Andrew Tate is a great man. So who are they to decide who's a great man? Anyway, I think it's dumb to let other people think you can't decide who a great man is. But I think it's also important that we know how to define great men. Because we all can see them and go, yes, that guy, that man is a great man. But it's important that we explain why and use these characteristics for men we'll see in the future or men around today, and to see if we can define them as great men. So the first one is personal agency. They see themselves as responsible for their life circumstances, and I think there's one great quote from Louis L'Amour, and it goes like this: up to a point in a person's life, it's shaped by environment, heredity, and the changes in the world about them. Then comes a time when it lies within their grasp to shape the clay of their life into the sort of thing they wish it to be. Only the weak blame their parents, their race, their times, lack of good fortune, or quirks of fate. Everyone has the power to say, this I am today, that I shall be tomorrow. So great men, all these great men that we go over on the channel, they all lead their lives. They are not led, they lead their lives, which is how they're able to lead other people, but we'll get to that. Number 2 is a disposition towards action. They are action-oriented people. And again, this goes with, they don't let life happen to them. They conduct their lives as much as they possibly can because they have so much control over themselves. They know what they want, so they pursue it, and because of that, they can act properly and do a lot of things that normal people can't do. Number 3, they are persistent. One thing that reminds me, well, actually all these great men that I've gone over on the channel, they are all persistent. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt, for example, when he was in the Amazon, he was very persistent, almost died. His son almost died, but he persisted through almost dying of a very bad fever and almost getting killed by a coral snake as well. And then when he was a little kid, he had terrible asthma attacks, and he persisted through them, started to work out, and started to box. And then there's Jacqueline Lucas, who is one of my first great men on the channel, who almost died a number of times. He was in World War II, and he almost died a number of times, but he persisted through all of them. And then there's Louis L'Amour, who throughout his life he did a lot of amazing things, but one time he was watching over a mine in the middle of nowhere, and he was taking a car back into town, and he hit a rock, the car broke, and he had to walk, I think, about 30 miles through the desert back to town with very little water. Anyway, these great men show persistence in their lives because they know what they want, and they're very steadfast individuals. But what allows them to be steadfast, that's the question, and number 4 has the answer. They have a code of honor, a moral philosophy, a clear sense of what is right and wrong. Because they have a code of honor, they have a moral compass, they are able to conduct themselves properly throughout their lives. And they're able to persist through hard times because they know that it's the right thing to do. Number 5, they have zeal. And zeal is an interesting word, which you probably don't hear a lot, but zeal basically means to go through life with a sense of enthusiasm about what you are doing. So someone that has a lot of zeal is incredibly enthusiastic. Number 6, they have courage. And the best definition of courage is persisting, again, persistence, through pain and suffering, and overcoming that pain and suffering, going through it. Number 7 is kindness. Great men, because of what they do and because of who they are, they meet a lot of people in their lives, and they have to be kind individuals. And I think all of the great men that I have gone over within these videos are kind and respectful. Number 8 is discipline. Benjamin Franklin had a system where for 13 weeks he would focus on 13 different virtues. So one week it would be one virtue, the next it would be a different virtue, and all the way through 13 weeks. And one of Teddy Roosevelt's daily schedules was very disciplined. He would get up, write a speech, go have breakfast, write another speech, all throughout the day. His whole day was focused on being very productive, and he was incredibly disciplined. Number 9, they have humility. They are able to recognize when they are wrong, but also they are able to put themselves into new positions where they can try new things or become new things, and they allow themselves to be very low down on the scale of the dominance hierarchy. We could say that. For example, Teddy Roosevelt went to become a rancher, and when you're starting off something new, obviously it doesn't make any sense to pretend like you know what you're doing or to act like you know what you're doing. So he puts himself way down at the bottom, tries to learn how everything works, talks to other people about how to do things, how to ranch, and he figures it out, but he isn't boastful about all of a sudden becoming a cowboy. Number 10, they are deliberate. And now, while these great men meet a lot of interesting circumstances throughout their lives that change the course of their lives, they act deliberately throughout their lives. When they want something, they act deliberately to get it, to learn about it, to experience it, whatever. They act deliberately and consciously. Number 11, they're curious about many different things. And Louis L'Amour, who was a great author, he was interested in a number of things, mostly the American West and writing stories about the American West. But while doing that, he would travel all across the country to get a better idea of the landscape, the people, the stories within these certain towns, to better understand how he could write a good story, a good fiction story about these different things that happened in the West. And he was very curious about the history and the layout of the land. So curiosity is very, very important with becoming a great man, because if you're not curious and you're not interested in becoming anything or knowing anything like most people are, then you're not going to be a great man. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to achieve anything. And you're also boring. So why would you want to be boring? Number 12, they're capable. They study, train, and experience life, making them more capable than most. All these great men, while they try many different things throughout their life to become a better person, a better individual, they are also good at a few very specific things, sometimes just one very specific thing, like Louis L'Amour, who was a fantastic author. They focus on one thing, and he wrote hundreds and hundreds of stories and books, which allowed him, through that experience, through that trial and error, especially in a time where the Western novel wasn't a big thing. He was writing Westerns when Westerns weren't popular, and he made them so much more popular because he was such a good writer. But that's because he became a capable individual. And number 13, they are good communicators, which that allows them to be good leaders, because you can't lead without being a good communicator. And again, I could use Louis L'Amour as an example, because he was able to write books that he was able to write hundreds and hundreds of books that people who read them would not usually read. So he was able to reach such a large audience because of that, and I think he sold around 300 million copies of his books across the world. Teddy Roosevelt, again, fantastic speechwriter, and he was able to really get into people's heads because he was a good communicator. All these great men are good communicators, and that allows them to be good leaders. And that's what's so attractive about them, is that they lead. And at first, it's just them leading their own lives. And through leading their own lives, they're able to lead other people. And that's what makes them great men. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think that, of course, it was important to define what great men are, or what makes a great man. So if you guys have anything else to add on to that, or if you disagree with something, I would love to hear about it, because we should define what great men are so that when we can finally see them today, we can look at them and go, he has this, this, and this. And because of that, because the way he conducts his life, he definitely seems like a great man. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.